everybody. So tonight I'm with Cristie and Rebekah, and they both have experience helping neurodivergent children. And so that's what the subject of our live stream is tonight. Why don't we start with Rebekah, who tell us a little bit about your experience and how that could be.
My experience.
Yeah.
Both of my children were diagnosed with autism at the age of 4. We knew something was going on around the age of 3.5. And so we are treating our children now with a ketogenic diet. So Jacob is very keto. Audrey is very ketovore. Jacob's autism, I don't want to say it's put in remission because one type of trauma could set it off, and make him regress. But right now, even with moving, like he's done very well. And then Audrey, really it's mostly like her ADHD that has responded.
So. Oh, okay. Great. And Cristie, what is your experience?
So just kind of put it in a little nutshell, or to kick us off, like Rebekah did. So my son is 15 years old. He was diagnosed first. We first noticed there was a problem when he went to preschool. That's my cat Pixel, as most of you know that watch my channel. But anyway, she pops in from time to time. Anyways, when he was in preschool, he would have these extreme meltdowns where they would have to pick him up and carry him out of the classroom. I mean, almost every day he was there. Wow. And the first diagnosis we got was actually not ADHD. It was sensory integrated processing disorder, which I'm sure Rebekah knows about, having some kids with autism, because they often will have the similar diagnosis. And so we did a lot of therapy out of pocket for that, and then come to find out later, because they usually don't like to diagnose ADHD at such an early age, they tend to wait. And so I think it was 3rd grade. He was also diagnosed with ADHD on top of the sensory integration processing disorder. And so it's just created a lot of challenges, to which we have tried numerous interventions, some of them through the school system, some of them out of our own pocket, to try and help, everything from counseling to speech therapy to medication. And nothing did even a little bit. Nothing and I'm not saying that it can't help some people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying for my son, none of those interventions changed anything in terms of his symptoms, his behavior, and all of that. Until we changed his diet to, I guess I would say ketovore. I don't know. Some people may say carnivore, depending on your definition. Sure. But we can get into more of the specifics later. And we did that at the beginning of February. He agreed, because he's 15. You have to have some agency and choice at that age. He's not 2. Sure. I can't just put the food on his plate and say, you will eat this. Yeah. Right. Because he can go to school and get whatever he wants anyway. Or, he has friends that drive, or his older brother drives. Like, he could get basically whatever food he wants. And so he had to agree. But basically, he did, and I've just seen, and he is apparently seen, because he stuck to it, right? A lot of improvements and changes in the symptoms from both of those diagnoses.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Nice.
I love how it's really just so simple. I mean, maybe I understand raising kids is not simple. No. And maybe raising kids with neurodiversity, maybe it's harder. I don't know. So I don't want to make less of anything you guys have had to go through. So I want to say that, but in any respect, raising kids is a lot of work. And I think that sugar ruins it for all of us. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, we started with our kids back in the day when they were 7 or 8. No, they was even earlier than that, because I remember we were gluten-free when we were at Disney. So they were 5, and we were gluten-free, and we did see that helped a little bit, but nothing helped as much as what just taking all the junk out. And I really think that's probably the key to it, is all the junk is gone, and you're feeding real foods to the kids. Right. And it really makes a difference with their cognitive abilities.
Yeah, that's great. I'm so happy about that. What was, I guess, for each of you, when did you notice a big All right, fine. Here, let's be specific. Christy, what is your son eating, and how long did it take you to notice a change in his behavior for the better?
Okay. So, it's really hard to talk about that without letting you know what his behavior was like before.
Oh,
So
okay.
those meltdowns were not just like terrible twos at 3 years old or whatever. He would continue to melt down until 12, 13, 14 years old.
Oh, wow.
And when I say meltdown, a meltdown is different than a tantrum.
Okay.
A meltdown is you are so emotionally dysregulated that no amount of talking, negotiating, punishing, rewarding, like nothing. You're just there in meltdown mode, and you just need to back away and let them come off of that cliff, and then you can be reasonable with them. That's the difference. So he would have these meltdowns. He would blame everyone else for him, like not doing his responsibilities. Mostly me, because I was in charge of getting him to school and doing his homework and that kind of stuff. But his dad too, teachers, anyone, any authorities, he tends to want to buck authority. He's very emotionally immature, cannot handle change. So I'm just trying to get this in a nutshell, but it's been very difficult. But that's kind of like it in a nutshell, as well as, noises are too loud. One of his interventions was he had the noise canceling headphones at school, like in assemblies, because he couldn't handle the loudness of like a school assembly. When he was littler and they had carpet time at school, they sit, crisscross applesauce on the carpet. He had to be like in the back corner. He couldn't be in between two kids, because for sure he's touching everybody. Right. Yeah. He couldn't keep his hands to himself. And then the kids would complain, and then he would get in trouble. So he was in trouble all the time. Or if somebody would do something small to him, he would respond with like 10 times more of a response than what they did to him. And then he would be the one in trouble.
Okay.
So he had just trouble regulating his emotions and his behaviors. And so basically, when he started the diet, which was the beginning of February, he agreed to try it for 30 days. What he eats is currently mostly meat, but I will say at the beginning, it was a lot more like we would substitute, like he used to like the Hot Pockets, like pizza pockets. So I made him like a ketovore version with like, and this is the one thing where he eats a plant. It's the only thing where he eats a plant still. So it's like a slice of mozzarella cheese, some pepperoni and sausage, like a spoonful of marinara sauce, and then another slice of cheese on top. And you just bake it for like 5 minutes. So he replaced his like bread pizza pockets with those, and now he can make them himself. Okay. So like if there's no meat, he'll just go, or if he gets hungry, he just eats when he's hungry, stops when he's full, and just does that. But it was more replacement foods like that for the foods he was used to at the beginning. Sure. So I would make him chicken nuggets instead of buying like the grocery store freezer chicken nuggets, with just ground chicken and some Parmesan cheese and some salt and things like that. Now, as we, thank you, Cammie. Yeah. Now, as we have moved forward, he'll go, when are we having chuck roast again? Oh. Or I know you made picanha. Can I have some? So his favorite, I think, are chuck roast, picanha, and chicken thighs. So on his own, he's become a lot more meat centric. Okay. And then he still does some dairy, mostly whole milk. So we switched him from 2% to whole. For a little while, he did like the whole Greek yogurt, but he kind of stopped with that. I had to throw some away because it went bad. He just wasn't eating it. But I'm not going to make him give up his milk. He's never had a weight problem. In fact, most people would say he's too thin, even though the doctor says he's in the normal range. But he really would have a hard time keeping on weight, I feel. So I'm fine with the whole milk for now. Okay. But yeah, and so that little bit of tomato and that maybe the whole milk would be like where he gets any carbs. So that's basically what he's eating. I see Sandra's asking his name. His name is Zach, and I don't know when. We haven't planned a date, but Alia is going to interview where he can talk to you guys. Like I'll be there too, but he can like answer questions. So that's going to be awesome. I also have an interview I did with him after 2 months, where he talks. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize it was after 2 months. I was watching.
Yeah. Or no, it was after 3 weeks. It was after 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. Sorry. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think it was like a week in. So you asked about behavior changes. What did we see first? So as any mom does when kids are little, clean your room, right? Clean your room, kid, right? That's a thing. And so I stopped fighting the clean your room battle because he didn't want to do it. The stuff was piling up in his room. I would ask him to clean his room, and he wouldn't do it, and it would end up being a big fight, and he'd be crying and I'd be mad. And because, if you're going to tell your kid to do something, the parents got to win that. You can't just let them not do it if you've given them instructions.
Yeah.
I'd go in there and try to help. He would refuse to throw stuff out. Like, he was borderline a hoarder. I mean, his closet was full to the brim. His under the bed was full to the brim. Behind everything, full to the brim. Every corner of his room, he had like a little place where he could walk, like an aisle, where he could walk to his bed.
Wow.
And it was just wall to wall stuff. Okay. And so I stopped fighting that battle when he was 8 or 9, the clean your room battle. I'm like, I'm just not going to fight with you. Whatever. Live in that, whatever. It's your room, right? I stopped fighting it. So about a week after he changed his diet, all of a sudden he starts coming out of his room with trash bags, kitchen-sized trash bags.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, cleaning my room, like totally nonchalant. And I was like, wait, what? I think
awesome.
that day, and he would remember the exact amount, but I think it was around 18 kitchen-sized trash bags came out of his room that day. And he was piling them up by the back door. He had piled up 5 or 6 of them. And then I said, I was going to go, he stays up later than I do, but I said, well, just make sure they get out to the trash can. And when I got up the next morning, there was nothing. I mean, he had taken them all out to the trash can outside. And I said, how many did you do? And it was like, I think it was in the teens, like I think it was 18 or so bags. And then everything that he wanted to keep, he organized and he put into bags. He didn't want to put it all away. So he just organized it and put it in a corner. Then about a week later, he organized all that and like set it all up the way he wanted it.
Wow.
And then later he cleaned out the closet. So he didn't do the closet that day because that was a whole nother battle. But later he did the closet. So that's all clean. And if you look under his bed, there's nothing there. I mean, it's empty under there. So, and then one time he's like, my room's getting a little messy. I think I'm going to clean it. Like, he just came out of his room and just like announced that. And I was like, okay. So the first thing we noticed, Alia, was he cleaned his room without being asked. And I mean, he cleaned it. Like most kids clean their room, they shove it in the closet, right? No, he cleaned it and he organized it.
That's
and it kind of mostly stays that way. So yeah. And that was a major battle for a long time when he was little.
That's crazy. It's so interesting. I guess I'm curious if like you start taking care of yourself, then it like kind of bleeds over to like start taking care of your stuff.
Well, I think that, Audrey, we've seen a lot of similar things with Audrey, like just spontaneously doing chores, being able to realize like, hey, you know what? I should probably do the cat box because that's my chore. And today's Saturday. Oh, look, I thumbed up myself. Sorry. I haven't figured out how to turn that off yet, guys. One day I'll figure it out. But yeah, so similar, like the behaviors, the tantrums when they're little, and it's just like meltdowns, and you can't do anything with it. You just got to let them cry and scream it out and just eventually self-soothe. And sometimes it takes a long time for that to happen, but it's amazing what happens when you do start changing the way that they eat. And then just like these little cognitive light switches start flipping. And it's just like, oh, there's one, there's another one. I'll come home now and Audrey will have done the dishes. And she's like, dishes are done, Mom. I'm like, aw, sweet. Like one thing Mom doesn't have to do anymore, or, hey, we took out the trash and I cleaned up the living room for you. Okay. Thank you. But it's interesting that those switches get flipped, and even with her son, it's amazing.
That is amazing. I mean, I'm not a child. I mean, maybe a little mentally, but when I started carnivore, okay, let's back up. I used to clean houses professionally. That's what I did. And then I had my daughter, and I loved it, by the way. Maybe people don't like that, like look down on that sort of work, but I loved going to people's gorgeous houses and cleaning them. And then I got pregnant, and I'm like, oh, there's no way with baby number 2, I can keep doing this. I can't keep doing this. And then my body went very bad for many years, and I wasn't cleaning hardly at all. Like I hated cleaning. And then like 4 days into carnivore. No, it was like the first week or so. I cleaned the whole house. I was just like so happy to clean. So it's kind of funny that you guys are saying this, because it's similar in that the changing of the diet, I'm like, oh, I need to clean. It was so strange. Like in the bathroom scrubbing, and I was very happy that I got my love of cleaning back.
You can always come here and clean my house.
It's $25 an hour.
Hey, I'll pay it.
Make dinner and I'll do it for free. Okay. Cranky Carnivore. Cutler, have you tried making your own yogurt?
I want to. I
Christy?
really want to.
No, and I don't want to. So there you have it.
That's awesome. Let's see. I just want to make sure I get Josephine says, loving all the changes going on my brain. Awesome.
Yep.
Hello, Jordan. I read Lebanon. I'm like, wow, it's so far. Oh, it's in Ohio. My daughter has a hard time
the noise thing. That is insane. Like, sometimes at school still Audrey has problem with that sensory issue. Like it's crazy. She can't take tests like in rooms with other children who have autism that make noise, because if they do, she's just like, she gets so angry. She's like, can you just shut up and let me like take my test? You interviewed her. You can totally see her saying that. Like she'd be like, shut up.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like, it's insane. That's one thing she has, like the sensories. We're still not there yet.
Yeah, my son had sensory deficits with all 5 senses. All 5.
Oh wow, what does that mean? Like, how does that manifest in a nutshell?
It's all of them. It's smell, taste, sight, touch, everything.
Like
certain clothes would. So I've definitely heard of kids that are worse than him with the clothes, because there's some kids like, I'll wear this one outfit and I'm not wearing anything else. But there was definitely certain clothes that he wouldn't wear. If it felt a certain way, he's like, I don't want to wear it. It wasn't so crazy. It wasn't like a lot of things. So I was like, okay. And I would just get rid of those pants or whatever it was. But certain clothes on his body wouldn't feel right to him. He has to sleep with a weighted blanket. Otherwise, he's not comfortable. So that's like the sense of touch, right? Okay. With a really bad one was tastes and textures in the mouth. So like when he was still eating standard, in fact, we were all still eating standard American diet. This is just an example. I think he was 8 or 9 years old. So we're not talking a baby, but 8 or 9 years old. We had gotten him a quesadilla and he just liked a plain cheese, like just the cheese and tortilla, like no sauce, no nothing. And he was sitting there just happily eating his quesadilla. And then all of a sudden, just like it all came out, whatever was in his mouth all came out. And I was like, what's wrong? Like, I thought maybe he had been choking or something. And he goes, there's something in there. And so we look, it was a grain of rice.
Oh, wow.
A grain of rice. And he could not keep it in his mouth. And
wow.
It.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So that's how bad that was, which is why we weren't super picky with diet. It was like, if he will eat it and swallow it, great. Like that's how we felt at the beginning. He did not wean totally off of like pureed baby food until he went to preschool. So he was eating pureed baby food all through being 2 years old. He would finally start eating some things like some yogurt if it didn't have any fruit in it. So I felt like I could send him to school with like some applesauce and like a yogurt, so he wouldn't look like a weirdo eating like pureed baby food at preschool. But I remember as a mom being nervous about that. Like, I'm going to have to send this kid to preschool with baby food. What am I going to do? So his sensory stuff and his taste and his textures was very bad. Again, with the noise, everything is it's overwhelming and you can't focus. If too much stuff is going on, if there's like a light somewhere or something, you want to see what's going on over there. So you can't focus on what you should be focused on.
Oh, wow.
With
it sounds
sight.
terrible. I can't imagine what it needs to be in that body. And
that was the first thing he was diagnosed with, and preschool was a full day because I was teaching. So it was a full day of preschool. And so that's why he would, we think, have those meltdowns, because by the end of the day, like by the afternoon, he was so overwhelmed, and he was just 3 years old and he just couldn't take it. And he would just lose his mind.
Oh, wow.
Just like he was totally overstimulated.
Overstimulated. And we didn't know. And it was like, they just, they didn't over discipline him or anything, but they were at their wits' end. We didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But we had an occupational therapist, diagnose him, and then we paid for occupational therapy for several years out of pocket, and then the insurance covered some too, like later. But
wow,
yeah,
you have similar things. Your kids have similar things, right? With sensory stuff. I remember. Yes.
So Jacob, the first thing that Jacob was diagnosed with was when he was like 18 months old, and it was sensory integration dysfunction. And so they did little things like just letting him feel different textures, because it seemed like that's what it was, because he was a toe walker. And they were like, that's not normal. Toe walking is not normal. And so, they did that. My kids, when they would come home from preschool, they stripped down to their diapers because they could not themselves on purpose, because they couldn't stand the feeling of the clothes against their skin. Jacob is just now starting to really wear jeans because of the feel against his skin. Audrey has been a lot better. Her sensory is more visual. Her she needs more visual stimulation and more auditory stimulation. So yeah.
Oh wow.
But she can smell. It's really weird because she has a heightened sense of smell. So she can smell like an essential oil blend and be like, this has this in it. And she can tell you like what's in it. Jacob's like, it's gross. So it's just like, it's just it's very different.
So
brands.
I didn't mention that, but like we'll be driving and he'll be like, if you smell like a fumes from something, like a truck or something, he'll like not flip out, but he'll be like, oh my gosh, what's that smell? Like overreact, I guess. To smells that are just kind of normal being a human on earth. What is that?
Is that kind of like what happens when we're pregnant, where we can't stand smells?
I remember being heightened with my sense of smell, maybe like that. Yeah,
maybe.
So
okay.
He would just he still will overreact to like most people would just go in their brain, right? They would just think that in their brain, like, well, that doesn't smell good. It's probably that truck, but he will say it out loud and not be happy, that's happening. So
exactly.
I mean, he's had like more improvements too. So since the room cleaning was the first thing, and to me, I was just like mind blown. Like I didn't know that was going to happen. I was just happy that I got him to agree, and then I was just crossing my fingers that he would notice, like I would notice, and more importantly, he would notice the difference.
Right.
And after the 30 days, I said, well, it's been 30 days. Do you want to stay on it? And in his nonchalant boy, teenager, like, I'm too cool, I can't react positively to life way, he was like, sure, like just totally, So, I mean, that right there tells me that he knows that things were better, in his own mind. And so he talked about like, when he knows, like he knew he was supposed to clean his room. He knew he was supposed to do stuff like that. But like there was this like block in his mind. I forget how he phrased it. And he just couldn't break it. He couldn't get over it. So he would just sit down and watch YouTube or whatever. Like and then it was all of a sudden he changed his diet and that sort of went away. So that's another thing we used to fight all the time about was being on time for school, because as a teacher, I sort of like need to be there before school starts. And so I'm like, look, man, I'm not trying to be mean to you here, but you need to be on time. And we tried all the strategies. And as a teacher, we, in teacher school, we're taught strategies. And so, I pull out my tool belt, I get strategies from the counselor and all this stuff. And, he learned the zones of regulation. If you said the zone of regulation to him, which is just a system of colors, blue meaning like almost too calm, green meaning like just right, everything's good with your mood, yellow meaning I'm starting to lose it, and red is like I'm having a meltdown, I've lost it, it's too late for me. I just need time until if you even, because the strategy is when you can see that they're going to yellow, that you have some kind of word or phrase or touch or something that works for that kid, they'll kind of let them know, like remind them you're in yellow. Let's like do it and then they have strategies that are supposed to help them get back to green. I mean, if you even thought about saying whatever the way was that he was yellow, he would go to red. Like that's it. He's done. He doesn't want to hear from you that he's yellow, and he would lose it. We would try timers, because he couldn't be on time. So it's like, okay, you don't want me to tell you what time it is. So look, here's a timer. You have this many minutes to whatever. And then he would just blow past the time, not care that the time went off, and then yell at me. And we would get in these like circular arguments where it was like, well, Mom, if you would just do this, then I would do that. So then I would do that. And then he would say the exact opposite. And so like he was basically, I'm in a position where I can't win. He's not even being logical. He argues one way one day and a different way the next. And so he just started being on time for school. Like he's 15 now. So we have been fighting every morning since he was in preschool about being ready for school. Preschool was easier because you could just put clothes on, pick him up, and put him in his car seat. But, once he gets once he hits elementary school, not like that anymore. So we would fight every morning, and the degree of that fight would vary depending on the day. And then I just learned, no matter how frustrated I am or how late I am, I have to remain calm, because even though I'm very mad, and even though he is acting inappropriately, it's just worse if I get angry too. It's worse. It's worse. So it's like, I just have to be like, totally zen and calm, and like nothing's bothering me, even though he's losing his mind, maybe calling me names, yelling at me, whatever, maybe crying. And so, but yeah, he just like started getting in the car. Like, we have a time where he's supposed to be in the car, and he would just appear at that time in the car, and I'm like, so we argued about this for 10 years. You couldn't do this, and now you can. And then one day I remember, like, I'll never forget this day, because he was 3 minutes late. He was 3 minutes after the butt must be in the seat time. And he comes and he gets in the car and he goes, "Sorry, I'm so late, Mom."
Oh, wow. It's such a remarkable change.
Right?
Oh my goodness.
So, I mean, it's changed our life at home in ways that are so dramatic. It makes our life at home just like pleasant. The interactions with him, I don't have to worry that he's going to lose it and get angry at the drop of a hat. I can ask him to do something and he'll usually do it. Or if I have to ask him twice, he's not going to flip out that I asked him twice, because he doesn't like being asked twice. Even if he doesn't do it, he doesn't want to be asked again. In the past, he would just get very angry. So that's another thing. Rebekah, did you have something to add to that?
But Rebekah, how did you deal with experiences like that with your kids? Because is it similar or worse? Like, when
which experiences?
Like just meltdowns. Like, how would you deal with that?
I'll tell you what, I was not a very good mom in the beginning, and I did not deal very well with them. Because I just felt overworked and underpaid as a twin mom, and they were little. Jacob really was my sickly kid, and then Audrey was my tantrum meltdown kid. So Jacob was the one with all the digestive issues. Audrey was the one that melted down because she was so just overstimulated. So it took a while to kind of learn to deal with it, and getting them into therapy is kind of what did it, was getting them into the different types of therapies. Because when they were in elementary school, they had early, so like preschool, like in kindergarten, they had the occupational, the speech, the physical therapy, and that all came through the school system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is great, because not every school system does that. And then once we got them diagnosed, we eventually got them into ABA therapy, and that helped a lot with that, because I couldn't have done it on my own. It just couldn't have. Like, the people that do are superheroes. I'm only partially, like, just having them, anybody who has autistic kids or neurodivergent kids, you're a superhero.
Sure. Yes.
But, so it's just, I wasn't very good at dealing with it. The therapist dealt with it. I'm better now, but now they're teenagers. I can send them to their rooms. I'm like, you're done.
So because I talked to you, both your kids separately, they started on like a keto diet at like 14. What are some? It was 14. No, Audrey was 11, right? And then Jacob.
Audrey was 11 the first time, and Jacob was 14.
Okay. And what are some major changes like that happened with them? How fast? I guess.
Well, fast. Jacob it was 5 months that he actually hit puberty. It took him 5 months that he grew, lost weight, hit puberty. It was pretty remarkable. And then more and more we saw the cognitive things start to happen, the social things start to happen. But most of his was physical and like hormonal in the beginning.
Okay.
So, Audrey, we've been fighting the Abilify. So, because she was on that butthole of a drug. So that we're still fighting that. Her ADHD, though, it took about, let's see. She got off the Abilify in 2021. So it's been about 3 years. And it took 2 years for her ADHD to get to the point where she was like, okay, now I can focus on my schoolwork. I want to focus on my schoolwork. I want to do good at school. So it took 2 years, but like I said, I attribute that to the medication she was on.
Oh, okay. But now she's off of that one.
Yeah.
And that was what we're talking about that really screws up your whole body, right? Like,
yes. Okay. Because it's a second generation antipsychotic, and those are really known for having a lot of bad side effects. So,
oh my goodness.
It took a long time.
Can I interject here that when I was a child, I did courses, and by the way, I don't have any of these things that we're talking about, so I don't want to make less of having what we're talking about with our children. But I did, I think I sent some stuff to you, Christy, but maybe not, maybe I didn't. But there's like an actual technology of how to study, and it definitely helps if you understand like how to study. It's really helpful. And so I learned this from, I think it's Applied Scholastics, and I did this when I was really young. So that always helped me study. But I think like if you also don't know what words mean, it's very hard to study. It's very hard to like keep your attention. It's just like an additional thing to be annoying if you're trying to learn something and you don't understand. And then you have these other issues going on. I think it's just a whole thing. Christy, did I send you some stuff about that? I don't remember.
I think it was a long time ago. It was a long time ago. Like when we first had our interview we talked about
that was like a year ago.
Schools. It was a long time ago. So yeah, I vaguely remember that.
Okay.
But both of my sons have ADHD actually, but my older one is 18 and he does not want to change his diet. But I will say that my younger one, he's still struggling with grades. So like grades are the one thing where it's like that has not really changed. But I will say he did summer school for geometry and English. And in his summer school classes, he got an A+ in geometry and an A+ in English. So he does a lot better when it's condensed like that, when it's this long drawn out semester. And I think it's actually more compliance. I think he has a little ODD, although he's not diagnosed with ODD. That's just me saying that.
Oppositional defiant disorder.
That's oppositional defiant disorder. He does not want to comply.
There's so many disorders for everything.
I know.
There are. Yeah.
If I was born now, I would have every disorder. Yeah. I was born in a different era.
Yeah. So, he doesn't want to do the worksheets. And in math, for example, and there are some teachers like this, and in high school, they don't care about he has a 504 plan, but they don't care about that. They have their policies that they're going to teach according to their policy. And that's pretty much what it is. And I didn't think to put this in his 504, so I couldn't even pull the 504 card on this policy. But his math teacher had this policy where in order to take the test for any given unit or chapter or whatever it was, you had to complete at least 70% of the classwork. Well, he's not completing jack. So the test would come and he could probably pass the test, but he didn't have the 70%. So he would get a 0 on the test. And my argument was, why does he have a 0 on the test? That's not grading what his knowledge about geometry. That's just punishing him for not doing the classwork, in my humble opinion. I mean, I'm a teacher and I would never have that policy. But that was that teacher's policy. And I really felt like that was more grading for compliance than grading for understanding the material. Everyone's opinions differ, but she wouldn't change it. And so, he did end up failing geometry because he didn't have enough of the daily assignments done to take enough of the tests to pass the class. But when he would take the tests, like there was some tests he did take and he got an A or B on every one of them. The ones that he did get silly. The 70% threshold. So, that was a little bit frustrating, but it's like, also, I'm like, you're going to have to work with what I tell my son is you're going to have to work with difficult people and your boss is going to have requirements of you and you're going to have to do it. So
thank you.
Get used to it. So I try to teach him that. And then he learned the hard way because he had to go to summer school, because he failed geometry. So
maybe you can get that across to my kids.
Yeah, right.
Feel free to lecture them at some point in time.
I'm recollecting something from when I was in first grade, and I totally just like blanked this out till just now, but I remember going to the school psychologist, I believe, and it had something to do with my ability and my attention in class. And so maybe I was diagnosed with something, but my parents were infuriated. So this is probably like 93, this is like 1990, that they didn't go to my parents first, but they just sent me there. So they instantly pulled me out of school and got me a tutor and took my brothers and sisters out of the same school and put them in a different district. They were so angry because they didn't consult.
Well, that was their right. Yeah, because legally they had to consult you and they didn't. Well, maybe back in 1990 they didn't have to, but
maybe not. But I remember coming home and I was crying, and why I was crying, and I had to see the doctor or whatever because I was stupid. Whatever reason, I don't know if I said those exact words, but the result was the next day I was out of school and I started homeschooling. But that's why I'm almost joking. Like if it was a different time, I would have probably, they love to give labels to these things, maybe because they don't have like full solutions that we see, or some of these solutions are actually just changing the diet and not having sugar destroy the brain,
Well, and it's really an epidemic if you look at our school system. I mean, now they're allowing Lunchables as being a balanced diet. And I'm like, what the heck is this whole balanced diet thing? I'm sick of hearing it. Like it's balance full of junk is what it's balance full of, you know. And when we were sending food with our kids, Audrey still packs her lunch. Well, Jacob takes a sandwich, but he doesn't pack a full lunch. But it's like they were the only kids taking real food. They were the only kids eating real food. And my kids wanted to eat the junk. They're like, but Mom, I want the donut. And I'm like, I know you do, baby, but you can't have it.
Yeah.
So, I was kind of a butthole.
Zach had an easy transition in that regard. That was one of my concerns, that I was like, he's going to see all the kids eating this other stuff, but like, I'll just, his typical lunch is I'll cut up some cheese, a few slices of pepperoni, and like a sausage, like a Teton. The brand is Teton sausage. It's pretty clean. Cut that up for him. I'll put it all in a little baggie, and he eats that, and he has no problem. I'm like, so how's that been? And he's just like, what do you even mean? Like, he doesn't see that why that. I'm like, well, are people looking at you? Like, nobody cares what I eat. And I'm like, okay. Because I thought that was going to be an issue. And then his friends are having pizza or whatever. And yes, at my school, they'll serve kids a Pop-Tart and call it a healthy breakfast.
A breakfast.
So.
It's terrible. And then the sugar, it like affects their whole body. How are they supposed to concentrate?
And it's not just the sugar. It's also the fact that in the strawberry ones, you think that's not red dye number 5? Like, which is like one of the biggest culprits. Like, there's so many kids that are actually sensitive to that red dye.
Oh, wow.
Like, and it's like,
and don't forget the glyphosate Pop-Tart.
Glyphosate, yes.
Glyphosate Pop-Tart, whatever.
Yep.
The bioengineered. You got to talk about the bioengineered wheat and corn that's in all that crap.
Oh my goodness!
And terrible. The contraceptive corn that's in the tortillas.
Contraceptive corn.
Oh, go look it up, Monsanto. You're gonna love them.
I will. Oh man, I'm sure I will. We have a lot of backlog comments, so I want to get to those.
That's okay. Okay. Yep.
Nia, I hope she's still here. She did this a little while ago. Okay. Would love to hear opinions on high fat versus moderate fat for these conditions. I'm almost 1 year carnivore, but still have some symptoms like noise sensitivity. All right. How about we'll start with Rebekah. What do you think?
I am always about high fat when it comes to like anything neurological, just because from the biological standpoint and physiological standpoint, like the brain and the nervous system is predominantly made up of fat. So you should probably be making sure that you're eating enough of that. I think that in many conditions, and MCT oil is okay too. I think that that's good for these conditions, just to get a boost in ketones as well. If you don't want to do the MCT oil, you can always do exogenous for those also that can help, but that's more going to be for the cognitive functioning.
Okay, awesome.
So I don't have much to add because she's a nurse, right? She has training, but I will say, since my son has showed such improvement, which I've only listed 2, but he showed such improvement that I went out immediately and read Georgia Eads' book, Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind. And I'm almost done with Chris Palmer's book now, Brain Energy. And so I would wholeheartedly agree with everything she said based on also her expertise, and then in those 2 books as well. I don't do MCT oil with him, but I recently, in fact, I did a video on my channel just real recently about this. I made him some butter bites, and I used, but instead of all butter, it was like 2/3 butter and 1/3 coconut oil.
Okay.
Because I thought that might be a way to sort of get some of that in there for him. Now, he didn't like them because it was like a salty sweet combo, which is like magic for me. But he's like, I don't like that salty and sweet together. So all I have to do is find a little way to make it a little more to his palate. And then I think we're going to be good. But yeah, I thought maybe the coconut oil would help in that department for him, because I've heard I think is it Mary Roberts, I want to say, and her husband had Alzheimer's, and then she did the coconut oil before she even did the MCT, and he had all kinds of improvements.
Well, I mean, MCT oil is just made from coconut oil.
Correct.
It's just, so it's the same thing. It's just that one of them has been literally refined down because people want this, the C8 and C10. Like, you can just add coconut oil, and you could do it however you can make the old school fat bombs if you wanted to, whatever. And it'll drive up your ketones because it goes straight to the liver to be processed.
Yes.
Into ketones.
And then on the high fat thing, like when I make him chuck roast is his favorite. So now I'll just make a chuck roast and tell everybody not to touch it. That's Zach's. And so he'll eat it and then he'll have leftovers. And so, the fat comes to the top and, the tallow solidifies on the top. And I told him, he's like, I think at first he wasn't like eating that. I said, no, you need to break that up and then put some of it in your bowl. So when you reheat it, you get, I said, that's the fat and you need that. And so he does that now. But yeah, high fat, nice. I think. Yes. And he definitely eats high fat.
Awesome. I'm always like, let's do the high fat.
Well, if they're metabolically healthy, they are going to need the high fat versus some that may not need it quite as much, so they can do the moderate and be okay, but
he doesn't have any fat on his body to use. Like he has he's like very rail thin. So he needs that fat for that energy.
That's like Jacob. He's a string bean. I'm like, I don't care how much fat you eat all the fat, but eat your protein.
My kids are very, very thin. I always bring up that when I brought my Jacob to the States, he got chubby and very fast. Yes. And I was like, oh, can't wait to go home. I wasn't worried because I knew we'd come back home very fast. But if we would stay there, I'm like, oh no. Now I see why kids are obese. This is crazy. But we got back home and they eat cheese, they eat ground beef, they eat eggs, but they need a lot. I mean, they eat fruit also. They're not on my diet, but they eat a lot healthier than we would if I wasn't carnivore and living in the States.
Well, and and just like, Dr. Barry and Nisha, they feed their kids seasonal fruits too. And it's because they are metabolically healthy. Right. Their body's not going to go into overdrive, producing a crap ton of insulin. And then all of a sudden their blood pressure's through the roof. Right. These kids are healthy. They can eat some seasonal fruits and veg, and it's not really going to, bother them.
Yeah.
But so that's my thing.
I have a totally different question. Just being a mom, how unstressful is it to know that you don't have to force your kids to eat vegetables?
Alia, for me, I'll talk first because of all of his sensory issues. I gave that bite up a long time ago.
With Jacob too.
He's not going to do it. So whatever. He couldn't handle the sensory of it.
We gave it up. Audrey's a trash. Yeah, Audrey's a trash can. She'll eat anything you put in front of her. It's like but Jacob, nope, he gag and vomit. Like, nope.
Oh no.
I thought I'd have a hard time getting him off like the crackers, the chips, even like the applesauce and stuff. Yeah. But he just switched. It was like not even a thing.
Wow.
Switched. And he hasn't looked back. And there was a question up there about do we give our kids a day off?
Yeah.
So his friend had invited him.
We got to get through these questions.
Yeah. Well, I just happened to see that one, and this kind of pertains to it.
Yeah.
So I don't
see nothing on my end.
Oh, bummer.
Oh, pull up the comments.
Oh,
okay. So
that's why.
Sorry. There you go.
So what about the day off?
So I never have said like, take a day off. I've never said that to him, but
Yeah.
like when he went to his friend's house, I didn't tell him like, okay, this is how you're going to stay on your eating plan. And I knew for sure
Right.
they were going to be ordering pizza. So I just thought, I mean, this isn't something he does a lot. So I was like, let's just see what he does. And I
Mhm.
did send him with some cheese and some sausage and stuff, just so he had food that he could choose. But there was going to be pizza there.
Yeah.
And when he came home, I just sent that with him, but I didn't say anything like, you need to stay on your diet or go ahead and take the day off. I just didn't say anything. I just took him over there, dropped him off, sent his food with him and left. And when I picked him up, I said, so what'd you eat when you were over there? And he goes, oh, I just ate what you sent with me. I'm like, oh, okay. What did they have? Oh, pizza. Okay. So, I mean, he just chooses to do it. He doesn't,
That's great.
and then I said, in the future, if you wanted to, you could take some toppings off the pizza and just have that. If if you're in a space where you're hungry and you don't have something from home, I said, that could be an option, but I just played it cool. Like I didn't, freak out over the pizza, but yeah, he chose to stay on it. And he chooses every single day. It's when he's at school. I know it's summer break right now, but from February through June when school was out. In fact, I think 2 weeks in, he goes, I asked him how he was doing, and he said, I had an oopsie today. So, and I said, oh, what happened? And he goes, oh, my teacher hands out suckers for right answers. And so without even thinking, because he was like 2 weeks in, he goes, without even thinking, I took it and I popped it in my mouth. And then I went, oh, I'm not supposed to be eating this. So I threw it away.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So he, I mean, if it was me and my sugar addicted brain, I would have been like, sugar. Like I would have finished that one and promised myself I wouldn't take another one, but nope, he put it in, went, oh, whoops, and like threw the rest away.
Well, that's good.
So I think he's pretty, pretty committed to doing it. He doesn't seem to want to stray off.
That's awesome.
So
I'm glad it's on his own determinism. I think it helps a lot when it's their choice.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I wouldn't succeed otherwise with him being the age he is.
Yeah. Here we go. Let's move on. Jordan, I'm here for my severely ADHD 21-year-old twins. We had most of the things you mentioned still do, but it looks different now they're adults. Okay. Understood. I guess your recommendations would be get them on a keto or carnivore diet. But they're 21.
They're 21. So it's going to be hard. I mean, but just keep showing them.
Yeah.
I ate this way for a year before I suggested it to him. I went keto in February of 2023 and then carnivore in June of 2023. And then it was February of 2024 or just before. It was like the end of January. And I was like, so you've seen me, because he saw me start doing sprinting and like have all this energy. And I attended all of his football games because he's not a football player, but he's in the school band. So I would go to cheer for the band and I would stay up, past my bedtime to do that. And he saw me not being like, oh, I'm so tired. Like he saw me not doing that. And then I said, I've been learning a lot about how the way I'm eating can help people, with their brain and things like ADHD. Do you think you might want to try it? And then I crossed all my fingers and toes and waited to hear what he would say. But so I did it myself for a year before I even brought it. And then, I learned a lot about it before I even brought it up to him. And I do think that helped him because he had a role model, he watched me change before his eyes,
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on this, Rebekah? For the twins, the 21-year-old twins, because you have twins also.
Yeah, I think that's just continuing to model it, showing them videos. If they're readers, if they're like me and they can't do reading, give them the audiobook. Georgia Eats got the audiobook. Her book's on audio. Dr. Palmer's is on audio. So just showing them videos of, people talking about it, especially, success stories.
Yeah, exactly. And soon we'll have your son's specific success story from out of his mouth. We'll figure that out. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll figure that out. I'm going to go, Ellie. I hope you're still here, Ellie. I think I have inattentive ADD. Been looking into it more. The more I'm researching, I'm seeing the signs of behavior that I exhibit. I could be wrong. There you go. Well, you're on the right diet. You're on the right path, my dear. My family knows me as the ratatouille of the family. Is that the mouse that cooks?
Yeah.
Okay. Just give it to Sandra and she'll let you know if it's good or not, or just starting to spoil. Oh yeah, that's me. And me and my husband have issues. I'll throw stuff away that he won't throw away.
I think that's Dr. Barry and Nisha too.
Oh, okay.
Nisha throws it away and Dr. Barry does the sniff test.
Oh, I do. Yeah. No, we've had to, he's like, you're not allowed to throw any food away. My husband's told me that multiple times. Nia, wow, a lot of what you're describing is like my whole life. I don't know what that was in relationship to, but there you go, because it was a little while ago. Jordan, do you think the dyes, MSG, nitrates,
nitrates and nitrites.
Oh, nitrites and everything was also an issue?
I don't think the nitrates or the nitrites are a problem because those occur naturally in vegetables. But the dyes and the MSG, absolutely.
I agree with that. So I don't have anything to add. That's what I would say as well. The dyes and the MSG.
Yeah. There's so much garbage in the food in the United States. It's terrible. Like here, the food is so different, and I had to like learn that. But there's still the aisles in the store that's like full of junk food. But it's just such a different scenario. You see people with a lot of rice and beans for sure. The canola oil, unfortunately. Like I'm thinking of what I see in the supermarket, but you don't see piles of junk food. People don't buy that stuff here. The junk food is different. Like it's an arepa, which is like a thick tortilla, or it's just the whole culture of food is so different here. And I can just see people are so much healthier. And I don't think they're doing the dyes. I don't think they're doing the MSG because they're not buying I don't obviously see every single person in Colombia eating what they eat every day. I'm just trying to make like, oh, if I go to the US and I go to the Midwest and I go home, everyone's like everyone is overweight. Everyone's obese. I look skinny.
Oh, yeah.
Like, but that can't be right. Like I'm still a big girl. How am I like skinny? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I got called skinny mini at work, and I'm like, I'm not skinny mini. Am I skinnier than I was? Yes. But I'm not a thin person.
Yeah.
I'm kind of stocky, and I've always kind of have been. And I'm like, I'm not skinny mini, but everybody else at work
right.
are three of me. And so I'm like, oh,
yeah.
I guess to you maybe I am, but it's kind of, but I'm in the South. So everywhere I look,
like the Midwest.
everywhere I look, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. Yeah.
Alia, Jordan has a question at 5:26, or I don't know what hour you're in, but for me, it's 5:26.
Let me see.
And then after that, there's
maybe
a few more good questions.
Here we go.
Yeah, I think it'd be 7:26 for you. Yeah.
Did any of you have the diet added? What is to the IEP at school?
So an IEP is individualized education plan. So kids that are tested and have either some kind of learning disability or speech disability can get an IEP. So both of my sons had IEPs at one time, and then I switched them over to a 504 plan, which is a little bit different. I did not do that, but I didn't even think about doing that. So it'd be interesting because I know that if you added it to the IEP, they would have to provide school lunches that had the diet specifications in it. So now I got to go do some research because
that's awesome.
They might not be able to accommodate that. That might actually be one that they would refuse to put in an IEP. I know that what we did with Audrey's, I just told him, I was like, you cannot give her candy as a reward. Like, you can't give her snacks as a reward. So they were like, well, we need something. So what I did is I got on Amazon and I ordered like keto friendly stuff or semi keto friendly stuff, less bad, and sent those to school. And that's how she got where she got her rewards. I had to supply them though. The school would not supply those for her.
I'm thinking that they would be very hard to get that in. You might need an advocate and a lawyer, and who knows if it would even happen if you did all of that. But the kids with allergies will do that too, Rebekah, what you're saying. So if they have an allergy to XYZ, they'll give them their own table. But some of them, if it's like gluten-free, the school does provide gluten-free and stuff like that for kids. I know that. And then the parents will send, like, if there's whatever's going on, you know, the parents will send another option that their kid can have. So that's usually the route. But my child, he's 15. So and he has a 504 now, not an IEP, which you can't, there's not that type of stuff is not in a 504, those type of interventions, you know? But yeah, I just send him to school with the food, you know, that's good for him. And then, and he just does that. But that's an interesting, that was an interesting question.
That's an interesting, that's an interesting thought though.
He has another point. Jordan, my Jacob. Wow, we have 3 Jacobs here.
Lots of Jacobs.
Lots of Jacobs. He toe walked for a long time. Had to do therapy to make sure that a tendon is shortened. Okay. Yeah, that's so interesting.
There are kids that we had a kid this last year in 5th grade that was toe walking, and we kept telling the parents, like, because they didn't see the problem with it. They didn't understand that the tendon could shorten. As teachers, you have to be very careful because we're not medical professionals and we can't diagnose things, but it's like, you might want to take them to the doctor and have that looked at, you know? Yeah.
Okay. So, and I always want to preface this with, I don't want to sound politically incorrect, but Christy, as a teacher, do you see, you started 25 years ago, 25 years ago.
Sure did.
No, I wasn't in public school then. 25 years ago you started. And do you see more neurodivergent children now than 25 years ago? Like more toe walking, more children with autism, more of this ADHD, ADD, all this stuff?
Absolutely. Yes. 100% yes.
Has the food gotten better or worse?
I'll be very honest with you. So one thing that happened in the most recent year, well, okay. The first thing I want to say is I didn't pay attention to it when I first started. Cause there I was, what, 20, 22, 23 years old or whatever. Yeah. I didn't pay attention that what they were serving in the cafeteria. But my whole career, I have taught like in a low socioeconomic area. So most of the kids are eating whatever the school provides. But I will also say that when I first started, even the kids that were getting the free or reduced lunch, because back then it was free or reduced. Now everybody gets it for free. It doesn't matter what your economic status at my school site. And they get a free breakfast as well. And breakfast now takes place during the school day. So breakfast used to take place before school. So like a lot of kids that even though they got it for free, they just didn't come early enough to get it. So who knows, maybe they didn't eat or maybe they ate at home. Probably they didn't eat, but I don't know. And then they would eat whatever for lunch. Now breakfast happens like in conjunction with morning recess. And so every kid is offered like a bowl of Lucky Charms and some kind of dried fruit, but that has sugar in it, like added sugar. Terrible. So it's like dried, I don't know, whatever, cherries or whatever, but then there's like sugar all over it and stuff. So, and then juice, that's breakfast. It's like sugar. Where's the protein? And so it was, I mean, this is kind of a little bunny trail, but during state testing, they moved the breakfast to earlier in the day and we agreed to it, but then we were serving the breakfast because we wanted them. We didn't, anyway, it's a long story. But so as I'm standing there serving the breakfast, there was one day, it was legitimately a chocolate chip cookie with frosting on it. And I had been talking for the whole 2 weeks of testing about how much sugar. I told them to read the label and look at all that sugar. So I had been putting this in their brains like every day at breakfast. And the day that they served them bagels with cream cheese, I said, the cream cheese is the best part of that. And I did have several kids go back and get like extra cream cheese and just like eat it. And I was like, hey, they're listening. But anyway, on the day where it was a chocolate chip cookie with frosting, I just, instead of saying, are you having breakfast today to each kid, I said, sugar bomb, sugar bomb, sugar bomb. I probably shouldn't have said that. But some of them kind of looked at me and looked at that and went, nope, and went and sat down.
Aww.
But I just, I mean, it was, I was just like, I mean, so in that sense that now breakfast is offered to every kid and it is free and it's things like chocolate chip cookies. Or the other one that I said is very common. Yeah. And the milk is either non-fat chocolate milk or 1% white milk. That's the milk. So there's not even any fat in there. And then the chocolate milk is even more sugar, you know? And so, if there's milk. So it's worse in the sense that they're offering more of it, you know, to where more kids are definitely taking it, eating it. And then you see if the kids bring stuff from home, it's usually like some kind of chips, like the Takis, which are like those hot rolled, I don't know, red dye number 5, you know, or like hot Cheetos and like a Gatorade. That's what they bring for snacks. That's what their parents, you know, send with them. And I'm not, and I don't mean I don't mean like a lunch. I mean like a, I can't even make my hands fit that big on my screen. Like a big full size, family size bag. Yeah. Yeah. That's what they bring from home. There's like one kid I saw last year that brought fruit. Like it was a 4th grader. And I was like, you have fruit. What is that? And then she told me what it was and stuff. But I was like, that was shocking, right? You just don't see that. You see chips and Gatorade.
I'm curious, like, what other things have changed in the last 20, 30 years? Like,
screen time, lack of playing outside. The kids, we have to run a mile for PE, and it's tested by the state. And we used to have many of the kids could do like a sub 8-minute mile with just a little bit of training. And now we might have, you know, 1 or 2. They have a lack of coordination. Like they're not coordinated. They'll like trip and fall a lot more. Like I've never seen kids just trip and fall, you know, all the time. And you start them like it's, you know, mostly in PE. So they're trying to do something with their body in PE and they'll just trip and fall, stuff like that. They're just very uncoordinated in general. So I've seen that. And then a lack of like physical fitness. I've seen them get heavier. I've seen them come with signs of insulin resistance, so that I can never say it, but that like darkening skin that Dr. Barry talks about, Rebekah probably can pronounce it for me. Agrocanthus nigra. I can't say it.
I can't. Anyway, I can say the last word. Then the last word is nigrans. Nigricans.
Nigricans. Agrocanthus nigricans or something like that. Anyways, it's that thickened kind of darker skin. I usually see it on their necks, which is a sign of insulin resistance. And I see it in my 10-year-olds in my classroom. So these are changes I've seen over the years. So it's the diet, but they don't go outside and play. You hear they're leaving campus and you hear them talking about, oh, you want to come to my house and watch TikTok. Like you hear that. You don't hear, do you want to come to my house and play?
Oh my gosh.
You know, whatever, something outside, jump on the trampoline, swim in the pool. Like you don't hear that.
Right. Oh, wow.
As much. Yeah. So those are the changes. And I think all of it comes into play. For sure.
And I would ask one more thing, but I think I would get in trouble. So I'm not going to ask that. But there's more of a certain thing that we didn't get as much of that kids have to get medically now more of. I can't say the word. So, and I don't, my tinfoil hat is on.
I will say that a lot of people ask me about the schedule.
Okay. The schedule. Yeah.
Yeah. The schedule. And, you know, I will say that I have a different view on it.
Okay.
I don't believe it's the things that they give in the schedule that is causing it. I've had people tell me that because I got my kids
the schedule.
Yeah, on the schedule that that I caused my kids autism. And it makes me want to punch them in the face.
Okay.
Because I'm like, no, I did not. Will you please stop? If I did it through my genes. I did it with what I ate when I was pregnant. And look at that thumbs up. And, you know, I don't believe that that's what caused it. Do I think that an overloaded immune system could have? It very well could have. That very well could have possibly done it. But don't tell me I caused my kids, because my hackles are going to rise.
What's a hackle? What's a hackle?
Oh, like on a wolf when their hair all goes up.
Yeah, everything goes up and the hair raises.
Okay.
And it makes them look bigger.
Yeah, mean.
Yeah. The mama bear comes out and it just like, don't tell me that. Like,
so
seriously.
I've had a similar experience, but not in that same way, because it's not been connected so much with the ADHD. But yeah, people telling me, even my own family, that I'm not a good mom because I allow my child to behave that way.
Oh,
okay.
Oh my gosh. I have a story that would just make you cringe. When we're offline,
I get angry just
you.
saying those words.
Okay.
Like I just get angry saying those words. Like I'm still upset about some incidents that have occurred, and they were years ago, right? And I'm like, I don't allow him to do anything. Like he does it, and then there's consequences. So you just, until you've lived a day in my shoes, you just go over there and don't talk to me. But yeah, it's very frustrating because they blame your parenting skills and style and whatever for like the way that your child with these neurodivergent things are behaving.
Okay.
And, you know, and in a lot of cases, their own children are very well behaved. And so they think that's because of their halo and their, perfect parenting. And so if
And
I
their
just parented
tablets.
like,
and their iPhones that the kids are.
If I just
so
parented like them, then my kid would be just as well behaved as their kids.
It is
Sure.
so hard. And it is so, and I don't know, Cristie, if you've dealt with this before, but I am always looking and comparing my children to other children. And, and it's so hard because I'm like, I did everything right. I did everything that they told me to in my pregnancy.
Yes.
And, and I got 2 kids with autism, and I'm like, what did I do wrong? And, why didn't I get the normal kids? And that sounds horrible. And yeah, I know one hope for all. I know I don't do that. I shouldn't. But, it's hard because I do see kids that right now are doing normal things. They're going to prom and they might, want to have all these great things and do great things. And my kids are like, yeah, I don't want to go to prom. I don't want to do this. I'm probably never getting married. Yeah. And, my daughter's like, I don't want to ever get married. So I'm like, I'll never get to be the mother of the bride, So there's these things that, I do, compare myself with others. Like how did I fail? And I have to kind of take a step back and really reevaluate. I'm like, but I have 2 of some pretty extraordinary kids. Like, yeah, Audrey's got a vocabulary that can, like, it's girl.
She's very well spoken. She's very well spoken.
She gets made fun of too because she speaks formal. If she was in England, people would be like, wow, what a cultured and very well-spoken person. You must be highly educated. Here, they're like the kids make fun of her at school for it. And it's like, it's amazing. Shout out to England for, teaching their kids how to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, it's very frustrating, but you do have to take that step back and be like, it's not my fault. And now I'm doing the best that I can. And my kids are thriving. They are surviving. And yeah. So
exactly.
I don't know if you do that, Cristie, but
it's yes. Cause you see these kids, it's 100% the same. And that's so funny. Cause mine are just ADHD and I have 2 of them and they both have it. My older one, he's already graduated high school. That was a tough road, but he did it. But yeah, he had no desire to go to prom or anything else. He just doesn't, And so, he doesn't do all of that stuff. He didn't his grades weren't good enough to apply to like regular colleges, but he's like going to a junior college. He's getting a drone certificate, but he's struggling with even that. I mean, hopefully he's going to do it, but yeah, it's just all that, the normal stuff that you see the successful kids doing. Like my kids are not doing that. And so, that's tough because I have friends. One of my older son's name is Josiah, and his good friend Levi. I teach with his. Thank you. His good friend Levi. I teach with his mom, and we were pregnant at the same time, and so they were born a week apart. And so they've known each other their whole lives. And like Levi has his issues too, but he's going off to college. He's going away to college now. And so, and my son isn't doing that. And so even a kid, you can see this kid, I think that even though he's not been diagnosed, that this friend of my son's has some neurodivergent things. And even his mom would say so, but she just never had him diagnosed because she didn't want that label. But he was able to do it. So it's like, but why not mine? And so, I see that. And then you just see the kids with none of those issues. Right. And they just bloom and they do all the things and they're valedictorian and they're, whatever. And they're,
they're like modeling. I have a friend whose daughter is like a model and she likes to have her hair done and makeup, and Audrey's not that way. And
I can't get my son to brush his teeth.
Oh, that's yes. Thank you. I'm not the only one.
No,
I did finally,
you're not alone.
You know what? I finally was like, here are 2 Philips, really great brushes, and they're electric, so you don't have to really work.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. So now they do those and they love it.
Okay.
But but it's like, I'm glad I'm not the only one, because it makes me feel like a bad mom because I'm like, I'm comparing myself and comparing my kids, and my husband gets mad. He's like, stop comparing the kids. I'm like, I can't help it. There's just so many dreams you want as a parent,
Well, I want them to be able to have a good life and support themselves. And so far, I don't really have a good clue that they're going to be able to do that. But it's like, I'm having hope, and I'm going to have faith, and I'm just going to try to keep supporting them, and be the best mom as I can.
You know what I've decided what we
do.
want? We want a homestead, and a mama wants a homestead where there's like
fireworks for the homestead.
Sorry. So I want a homestead that is large enough that we can build 3 houses. Audrey can have her cottage. Jacob can have one that's far enough away that he can marry a woman and have kids and have a family. And me and my husband, God willing, we live that long, have our own home, but we're all on the same homestead, and that's my dream.
You're going to be jealous.
Because you have that. Shut up.
She has that. Go away, Alia. No, just kidding.
I just, I want to say something about the comparing the kids thing, and I'm not saying anything bad about what you're saying, but there's like a different culture here in Colombia with relationship to kids and parents, and you don't feel that at all. And I don't think anybody compares anybody's kids to anybody. It's more like everybody's kids are everybody's kids. Like everybody's looking out for everybody else's kids. Like it's as if it's like one big happy family. I live now on like a homestead, but I used to live in an apartment complex. It was like a gated community, and every mom was looking out for every other kid. And my kids would be like, "Mom, I'm going outside to play." Okay, cool. They're like 5. They were like 5 and 6 at the time, or even younger. And they knew how to cross the little parking lot to the park. Like it was like very tiny and not traffic. But if I was outside, I'd keep an eye on other people's kids. People would keep an eye on my kids. I'm like, "Hey, have you seen Jacob? Oh, we went to somebody's house." Like it's so safe. And there isn't that. And I think it's just a difference of culture. And as a mom, I've raised my kids here. But I noticed when I visited the States, a Colombian American boy, it's not that way. He was a couple years older than Jacob. He's like, "I don't want to play with him. He's too young." And I'm like, "Oh, this is weird for me," because the 14-year-olds will take care of the 7-year-olds and make sure that they play together.
Because Western culture has really gone downhill. Like I was raised in backwoods West Virginia, and that's what it was. Everybody knew everybody, and everybody like would take care of other people's kids. I lived up a holler, man, like beside a coal mines. And so it's like, there was just like, it was a village. It takes a village.
Right.
Everybody knew everybody played with everybody. And that's just, that's how it was.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
You can't do that now.
No.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
So, as a teacher, we have after school duty, right? So the kids we stand out there and watch the kids while they're waiting for their parents to come. And sometimes there's different places around the school, but I had after school duty once in the front of the school. And some parents don't always come on time, which whatever, that's fine. But I'm standing out there. I take that as an opportunity usually to get to know some of the younger kids that are going to be coming up to my grade level, in a year or two or whatever. And so, but yeah, one day I was standing out there and these moms were late, and it was just a couple of these boys left, and they just started wailing. I mean, they're just beating each other and chasing each other and hitting each other. And that's not at school. You're not supposed to horseplay. Like that's against the school rules. And I'm in loco parentis is the law. Like I'm the parent in place of their parent when their parent isn't there, and they're still on campus. So they're still under my charge too. And actually that's true all the way until they get to their house if they're walking home. So if there's like a fight and they're walking home from school, like the school is still like liable and in charge of all of that, even though we're not there. But that's the law. So anyway, what my point is I just said, "Hey boys, let's not horseplay. Keep your hands to yourself." Like I didn't write them up. I just asked them to stop. And the mom was walking up and heard me say that, and she lit into me about that's just how they play, and how dare you? Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh no, I'm sorry.
So it's like that, even when you're just like you said, like takes a village, like we're not even allowed to be a village. Like I wasn't mean. I didn't even use my teacher voice. I didn't even use my teacher voice. I just said it in a calm, "Hey guys, let's, chill out," or whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that mom lit into me.
Oh
she was mad. Yeah.
Yeah. We got to like just change that a little bit. I don't know how we can do that, but because I'm not even there, but it's just
You're like, I left the country. I'm an expat.
Yeah, exactly. No, but what do you hear is I'm like, or maybe I would apologize for something my kids did that I felt wasn't okay. I'm just being like very vague, and someone's like, "They're just kids, let them be." Or like you go to a mall and the kids are running around everywhere. And the response is like, oh, look how cute these beautiful children are. And it's so much nicer. And I've had to change my like own mentality as a mom to just like relax, because people here are so relaxed about the whole subject of children. And oh, look, there's a tree there's this beautiful mall where I used to live, and there's a big tree in the middle of the mall, and all the kids would go around and fall over it and jump and play. And the parents are literally just sipping on their coffee. It's like hardly paying attention. I don't know how many times my husband's like, just don't even look at the kids. And it's so much nicer, because I think everybody kind of has a similar mentality. They're just kids. Let them be kids. And I think that's how probably it was more for us when we were kids, like you were saying, Rebekah. Just be kids. Anyways, okay. But now
I miss being kids.
Oh my gosh. We're like hour 15 and we have so many questions. So I'm going to be strict and we're going to answer these questions.
Lightning. Let's just answer the questions. Lightning round. Lightning round. Okay.
It says, how do you handle seeing kids and talking to their parents? Is this a question for a teacher? I've been trying to not say anything, but it's heartbreaking. All I see is my childhood. I think this
so as a teacher, I can say two things. So the first thing is, in general, unless it's really bad, and if it's really bad, the principal will usually call the parents. I have stopped calling parents about behaviors in the classroom. I handle it between me and the student, because when I call home, I will usually get a response similar to, well, what did you do to make them do that? Or what did their child sitting next to them do to make them do that? So they want to put it on somebody else and not have their child take responsibility. That's a change in the culture I've seen. So I just handle it. And then secondly, this is the first time I've done this, but I have, because I went, on the proper human diet, and I have a student coming up to me next year, and I already know who she is. And the mom is very, involved in the school. And so I just mentioned to her, because it's a little girl, and she has ADHD, and she has a learning disability, and she's, has her IEP that we talked about earlier already. And so I just mentioned, all I said was, hey, my son has ADHD, and I've recently changed his diet, and I've seen a dramatic improvement in his behavior. If you want to, if you're interested, let me know. And I can't talk now, but let me know, and I'll totally talk about it with you. And then I just backed off. And then, she hasn't said anything to me, so we'll see if she does, but I kind of just deal with it that way. And then when I'm in IEP meetings, because I sit through a bunch of IEP meetings, this was before I changed my diet, so I didn't talk so much about that. But at one point, my older son was taking a certain fish oil, and we found one that really, it didn't help with his attention and stuff, but it really helped him with his emotional dysregulation. Now, my younger son tried the same thing, but it's N equals 1. It did not help my younger son. My older son, it got to the point where if he did not take his fish oil, you could tell a difference. And I'd be like, the way he was acting, I'd be like, you didn't take your fish oil, did you? And he'd be like, no. And so it was obvious. And so in the IEP, I can just say, this is me with my mom hat on right now. But my son has this too. And this is one thing that I've tried that worked. And if they ask me for the brand name, I'll give it to them. But I don't say this is the school telling, I'm like, hey, this is me with my mom hat on. This is not coming from the school, but as a mom, this is, putting on my other hat. This is what I did for my son, and it worked. So take that for what you want. So I'll talk like that. So that's how I do it. Or don't do it. In the case of, if it's a behavior thing in my classroom, I deal with it. I don't look for that support or backup, because I'm probably not going to get it.
Okay. I understand. Rebekah, you're describing me. Did you struggle with self-regulation yourself? Are you ADHD too? I am.
Oh, so I think that I do have adult ADHD, but I was never diagnosed with it growing up, and I never had a problem with it until after I had kids. So if I am, it was brought on by pregnancy and having children.
I wonder if that's also our
just autoimmune diseases. It's they come out after pregnancy. Pregnancy sucks for women. Sorry.
No comment. My body was wrecked for years.
I didn't enjoy my pregnancies either, and I recently reminded my kids of that. I said,
hey.
I can show
every time I've talked to my husband, should we have another baby? He's it's really hard on you. He has to keep reminding me, it's really hard on you to, and And I'm like, yeah, because we have some other plans and traveling we want to do, and our kids are finally like of the age to be able to like do that. And I'm like, it will put our plans off for another 7 years.
Well, I'm going to do this live, guys.
What? Oh my goodness.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Look but you had 2 in there.
I
was
did.
2, yeah, twins.
I did. So
how are you even standing up? I don't know how you were.
I don't know.
Up.
I'm only 5'3". That was the belly.
Okay.
Ah!
Oh
Oh my God. Can you send me a picture of your belly now? I want to see those stretch marks.
No.
Okay.
Off camera.
Okay. Yeah, off camera. When I had a meltdown, thanks, Russ. When I had a meltdown, my dad would whack me with whatever was within arm's reach. This is like, this is the olden days. Russ ain't that old. Okay, let's see. Great man was thinking about you the other day. Oh, we're talking the internal conversation. Jordan, if you're still here, thank you so much. Yes. Good parents. They worked very hard. It's funny. I will say my parents were awesome. They were great. I had a very happy childhood. They worked their butts off and I hardly saw them. But they did the right thing, so I did need better. They were working like 7 days a week. They're trying to raise 4 kids in the 90s in Chicago. Good parents. Thank you. School had no right to do that without their permission. Thanks. Wow. This was like a long conversation a long time ago. Let's see. Question. Do you guys let your kids take holiday from the diet? Oh, we talked about this one.
We talked about that. That's the one I saw that kind of fit in with what I was saying earlier.
Yeah, my kids do get, we had agreed upon days that they get to eat what they want, and they pay for it later.
Yeah, exactly. Weekend, if we go out, the kids can ask for what they want. I will say our house is basically carnivore foods. Sometimes there's fruit here, but they just have to go down the hill to grandma's house and they can get lunch. We're like, Jacob, what did you eat for lunch? He's like, I had spaghetti with tomato and onion and carrots in it. And we're like, was there any protein? But in our house is specifically very carnivore. There's a few other things, but not so much. But the junk is elsewhere. But like last week, we went to the similar restaurant of KFC because they love that. And then the next day, Jacob had diarrhea. I'm like, it's the KFC. You're eating your ground beef and your eggs all week. You're eating your chicken, and then you go eat the KFC. No wonder you have diarrhea. I didn't say all those words to him. I'm like, all right, well, I should have expected that. So yeah, if they have holidays, yesterday it was like, can I have a piece of chocolate? Can I buy chocolate? Can I buy chocolate? Because they have a little bit of their own money, like a few pennies. And they're like, okay, fine. I said, no. They wore me down. Yes, but you have to split this little thing with your sister. And then today another thing. He's like, why is my poop watery? And I'm like, because you ate crap yesterday. Christina, I have a nephew who has ADHD and it's been struggled to get him to eat. This is awesome information. Thank you. Aw.
So Christina, if you're still here, I have like I said it earlier too, on my channel, and I don't know how old your nephew is, but my son is 15. He did an interview with me. It's still posted there on my channel, and he's going to go with Alia soon. We're going to do like a pre-recorded. So that could be a good, hearing it from a kid's point of view or a kid's mouth rather than just the adults trying to tell him what to do. I think that could be helpful.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's why I also talked. Well, first, I was selfish. I really wanted to talk to Rebekah's kids because I wanted to understand from children that have autism, like what it's like, because you don't know until you take a step and talk to them. And my only experience was with not high functioning autistic children. And that was very interesting. So I was so happy to be able to have like an actual back and forth conversation. So, but I would love to talk to your son also, but I learned so much from her kids. I learned a lot from your kids, and I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot from Zach.
Learned a colorful vocabulary from Audrey.
I did. I have to go back and look at my dictionary and understand more words. No. Anya, thanks. I've never seriously considered taking exogenous ketones. I feel much better when fasting and my ketones are really high, but I don't have a lot of weight to lose, so I can't do that too often. Yeah.
So that's when I would say the exogenous ketones could come in, especially, or just eat a lot of coconut oil.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Choosing to Live One. Love Chris Ballmer's Brain Energy book. I got to read it.
Really
I'm all about mental health.
My library had it. I was able to check it out from the library. Georgia Eats book they did not have, so I purchased that one. But Chris.
Okay, I have that one somewhere. I have the Georgia Eat one. I relish salty sweet. I use coconut oil and salt in my green tea. Oh,
cool.
Okay. We're going to get back to the speed round on the question answering, but a couple days ago, I was at my mother-in-law's house. And when literally, it's just down the hill. I just have to walk down the stairs. It's a different building and it's just down the hill. And I said, what's that? And I thought it was like a big hunk of sugar. And she was like putting it into her coffee. And she said, this is collagen. And I made it from a cow's hoof that she made it herself. So she put collagen and coffee. This is the first time I've seen her do this. Collagen together with coffee. She did use some sugar. Also, panela. It's like some not as refined version. But I was so happy to see that she was putting collagen that she prepared into her coffee. And my daughter came back, said it was delicious coffee. She's 6. That's very part of the culture here. Kids do drink coffee.
Eating a chuck roast.
Oh, yummy. I hope you're still here. Okay. 3-year carnivore taking 300 milligrams of coppery to control seizures. What is that? I mean, it's a drug, obviously. Ketones have always been low, high protein, high fat intake. Would this medication affect ketone production? Rebekah, do you have the answer to that question?
I do not. It looks like it could be. They use it for epilepsy. I'm not sure. I'd have to go and look that up. So,
do you think in her case exogenous ketones might help because she said she's eating high fat, but her ketones have always been low, or the coconut oil or the MCT oil?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I would do exogenous just because I don't know how that Xcopri, which is cenobamate, don't know what it's doing to the liver. So if it might be blocking the process somehow in the liver. So I'd have to go and look and see what it does, how it works in the body, what the body does to it. And how it's broken down. So it could, a lot of these drugs that are also used for not only seizures, but are also used in, you'll see them used in seizures and in bipolar disorder. So they're like I don't know why they work, or maybe this is just how the pharmacology works for, mental health. It's like, hey, we have this drug. Let's just throw this at this too and see if it sticks, and I think that in Brain Energy, he talks a lot about how the meds just don't work. So I'm not sure, but I think the exogenous ketones or lots of the, coconut oil could help.
I want to say I need to do medical disclaimer. We are not giving medical advice. These are just our opinions or ideas that might help you.
Yes.
That's what we would do if we were in your situation, possibly.
Yeah, exactly. I want to say something about this. I'm thinking about bribing my Jacob, who lives with me, with cash payout to do the diet for X amount of time and see if he'll continue it when he likes the changes.
Money's a great motivator.
Yeah.
But it needs to be at the end. It needs to be at the end of the line.
Yes.
And he has to do it strictly, or else you're
Yes.
So he can see the changes. And maybe when he gets to the end of the line, he'll be like, no, Dad, you saved my life. I don't need your money. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I forget
doubt it.
because it's been so long. Alia and I have been on these YouTube streets for a while now, as Carnivorous Grandma calls them, the YouTube streets. But anyway, it was a while back. There was someone that would always tell me like that they paid their child to start eating this way. And it was the best thing they ever did because they enjoyed it and they're sticking to it and they're doing so much better. So I know that's just an anecdote, but I can tell you, and I wish I could remember the name of the person who told me that, but they told me that several times on my channel in live streams like this. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Give it a shot.
Give it a shot, but the payouts at the end.
At the end, yeah.
Or work for not just money. It could be,
a thing.
A gaming computer that they want. Be like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
You want this? We're going to do some back and forth here.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's negotiate.
Rick, I think I have all. I think all
kids have a form of ADD.
Oh, I have dyslexia because I thought that literally said Rick was saying he has all forms of ADD.
He's inattentive. He's hyperactive. He's all of them.
he's eating iguana tails. It's the carnitine and fatty red meat, which helps greatly with ASD, ADHD. Clean, strict carnivore is best. I have to go now. Bye. That was a long time ago. I wish you all a good and healthy health and prosperity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That is true, though. I think they did a study that kids with autism are low in carnitine.
Oh, how interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah,
Jordan,
Dr.
again.
Chafee talks about it all the time.
Okay. This is why I asked if we can do gluten-free and we can do allergy accommodations. We need to accommodate a diet that helps the ADHD brain too. Oh, that's in relationship
Agreed.
to that form. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Agreed.
Brooke. Hi, Brooke. I have heard that toe walking is a way of coping with visual issues. That's very interesting. I did not know that. I think the whole country has free meals for kids in public schools. Fed Gov started funding that during COVID, and it's all high sugar content.
That ended here in North Carolina. Ours is done.
Well, that's good because that's
not in California. So I'm in California, and they chose to extend it. Sorry, I'm looking for my video for Carivore. Carivore asked for my video, and I'm going to put a link to the video with Zach. I'm just looking for it. But in California, it's still free breakfast and lunch statewide for all students because California decided to keep that in.
Yep.
So I think it varies by state.
Yep. Okay, Washington ended it too. The last year we were there, they ended it before a lot of other people did.
Okay. Let's see. I want to just look really. Oh, here's a question. Okay. Josephine, is there any advice on how I can cope with a friend that has kids with ADHD, ASD? Oh my goodness. Sorry. I'm trying to say all these abbreviations as I try not to say anything, but seeing the kids remind me of my childhood, just they're eating way more sugar stuff. Recommendation.
Recommendation. I mean, you can hand some of these books to them as gifts. However, you can't parent them. You can't parent their kids. You can give them suggestions and,
I wonder, are you friends with any of these people? Because if you're a teacher, I think it's a hard position to be in, right? Like
it says cope with a friend that has kids.
Oh, a friend.
So, you could talk to them, but
if they want help, now there's some more resources like my interview with Jacob. There's Dr. Barry videos. Like if it's a friend of yours and you have like a conversation, like, would you like some help with this? And if they say no, don't push it. But if they say, sure, I would like some resources, then maybe give them some resources that they can review on their own. That's my thing. I love this. Homeschool your children. I hired a tutor. We had a tutor for a year for my kids.
I wish I could. However, you would have to put me in a mental institution. Let's just be honest here. I am not meant to be a stay-at-home parent teacher.
Yeah. Okay, that's funny. Homeschool your kids. Homeschool your children. Okay, my kids go to a little village school with 15 kids, age first to fourth grade. Totally different. And the teacher that's there has been there for like 30 something years. She's this little cute little old lady. They have this one guy that comes in and cooks 14 meals twice a day for them. It's adorable.
That's cute.
Yeah.
That's a lot different.
Yeah, it's a lot different. It's not the best food, but it's way better than I think what you guys have. Okay. I'm just popping this up here, but I'm not going to say the words. Everybody can see it. There you go. Thank you, carnivore teacher. I can't say the words. We're not allowed to say that stuff. Okay. There's deficient amino acid that Dr. Barry talks about that might be the reason for autism. The mother not eating properly.
I don't know if I agree that it's what causes it. I think that there's some sort of genetic difference where they can't utilize it. Maybe. I don't know if I think that that's the reason. Like, because my kids ate red meat when they were little.
Okay. I don't think that any one thing causes it. However, anything that could alter mitochondria could be a contributing factor. Thank you, Sharon.
Fair.
It's not on my mother's side. I'm not sure what that's in relation to.
They might have had a side conversation.
Okay. Yeah. This must be a side conversation. Okay.
I think that was in response to me talking about people commenting on my parenting skills.
Oh, yeah.
He was talking about how people were.
Yeah, someone once did that after a very bad time period where my kids were having a hard time and I was having a hard time, and someone made a comment and I was just like, if I wasn't a decent human being, you'd literally be thrown through that windshield right now. No, I'm just joking. Like, I'm not, again, it's something I'm not saying. I'll just put it here. People can read it later. Okay. Carnivore teacher. I do not think it's a combination I do think it's a combination of variables that were just not there in the 50s and 60s earlier that there today, even in the 80s and 90s, I think.
Well, I will say this. So in the Vietnam War, they sprayed Agent Orange, and there is an extremely high incidence of neurodivergence in the grandchildren.
Oh, wow.
Of Vietnam veterans that were sprayed with Agent Orange.
Crazy.
There's the Vietnam Veterans, the Children of Vietnam Veterans Alliance is coalition that's out there, and they talk about it.
Oh, wow. And my dad missed that by like a year. He missed the draft by like 1 or 2 years.
Well, my dad was sprayed with Agent Orange, and he has one grandson, one grandchild. Like, so there's only 4 of them, and he is the only one that is neurotypical. The rest of them are not. So
that's very interesting and terrifying.
Very terrifying.
Oh.
Thank you, Monsanto.
This is crazy. My daughter
said she never wanted children. Yep.
Yeah,
but now she changed her mind. I don't think Audrey will.
No?
I don't think Audrey will. No.
Oh, why can't we say the word? Because YouTube won't let us say the word. YouTube has a problem with words.
Like certain words.
Certain words.
The C word.
Yeah, I can say dengue fever. I can say I've had dengue fever and nobody cares. But I can't say that other one that I've also had, which dengue fever was far worse than, by the way. I mean, I don't know if I've had it because like here the tests aren't like easily accessible, and I'm not going to go pay $60 for a test. I'll just be at home. Or if I go to the hospital, I don't want to be hospitalized. So I'll just be at home. Anyways.
Yeah.
Oh, here, this is for you, Rebekah. I think we have to see successes differently for these kids.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Very much so. Very much so.
Oh, this is interesting. The Amish culture is very age inclusive too. I love it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's more like a village.
They actually have a really good culture.
They do. I'm like, I don't understand why people have anything like, if there's anything negative to say. I was talking
about some days I want to be Amish. I'm like, can I please go away?
They don't have screen time. They don't have screen time, these kids and adults. They don't watch TV. Yeah. And I think that probably is amazing for them. Even though I love being on YouTube, but still, I think that is amazing because the less screen time, the better. I was talking to Dustin last night. I went to an Amish community once, and my dad, because they were building doors, my dad was working for a door installation company. It was like 7 hours, and I was pregnant and had nothing to do. I said, let's go. And as a pregnant woman, you have to pee a lot. And I asked, where's the light in the bathroom? Because there was other electricity, and someone looked at me like I was crazy in that community. So I'm like, but there's electricity just like in the same building. But I think they're trying to keep their culture as much as they can, even though they're making those machines. Anyway, it's just funny. No, I think they're better off than a lot of us. Okay. I don't want to miss my cue. Need to say OMG, yes, but I know I should go, but my brain is stopping me.
I think we got to her question. She was
okay, and I hope
kind of needed to go, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think we got to her question though earlier.
Yeah. Thank you, Jonathan. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So
you should talk to Jonathan. Maybe Jonathan should talk to Jacob. That would be a fun conversation. Jonathan, if you're still here, that would be amazing. You guys should talk.
Oh, that'd be super cool.
Yeah.
He commented on Jacob's video, and I was like, oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Another person who I've talked to, and I was like, I would have never known unless you told me that you had neurodivergence. And he's on a carnivore diet. I'm bad at asking you. Hopefully I said it right. Oh, I think we got it. We did get it. Okay. We aren't healthy enough when we get pregnant. I hope my daughter can eat carnivore and be a healthy mom. Yeah, I can agree with that. I can agree with that.
I wanted to eat all the bad things when I was pregnant, though.
I got
Chocolate milk was my best friend.
Oh man,
I mean, the only
wish I knew.
thing I did was I got rid of caffeine, and I did that the whole time I was pregnant, and I did nurse my kids for a year. But then
I didn't
was
make anything, so I didn't get to nurse.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like, I didn't change my, other than the fact that I was morning sick the entire pregnancy with both of them. So I just ate whatever I could keep down.
Amen.
Yeah.
And I tried to eat things that I knew tasted the same coming back up. Oh my gosh, it was so bad.
So bad.
I think this question, Kathy. Hi, Kathy. I have a 20-year-old. He is long S. Does somebody understand that? He is in long S. Long. Okay. There was an incident the other day when he was extremely drunk, and I'm thinking of finding a new situation, maybe working a ranch. Long. I don't know what long S is. I don't know what that is. Definitely, like, change of environment helps people. Doing something different will help people. Carrie Board, you were doing that. Okay. Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's there.
I put it there.
Here we go. My son has Asperger's, 29, long-term care. There is a terrible. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
They're helping him switch to low carb.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would help. Yeah.
Yeah, it would help. Is that Audrey in the background?
That's not me. No.
No. Oh, somebody was saying, "Why are you something?" It's not. My kids are sleeping.
That was my son. That was Zach.
Oh, okay.
He's gaming with a friend online, and he's not happy with whatever's going on.
Okay. I was so angry that no one stepped in when I was struggling with all types of issues. Now I'm very much an adult and struggling. Yeah, I understand.
I know.
Someone could have done something during my developmental years. I get so angry when the neighbors don't intervene. They just watch the children fail.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Aw, Kathy, I love your ladies' transparency. Aw, thank you. Oh, we're at the end.
Yay, we did it.
Are we really?
It took us an hour and 41 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, we got one more. One more thing just came in. Okay. Why do we crave the sugary stuff when we're pregnant? Probably because we're deficient in the real stuff that we need.
Probably.
If you're pregnant, try beef, butter, bacon, and eggs and see what happens. Okay. So, hi, Jay. We're about to leave. All right. CB, hello. Hey, y'all. 15
months from Northwest Alabama, from the South. That's a deep South.
I love the South. Okay. Alabama here, and battled ADHD my whole life. Brain kicking in high gear now. Also reverse type 2 diabetes. That's amazing.
Congratulations.
That's a Dr. Barry would say, huzzah.
Huzzah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good job. Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
And as another man that reversed type 2 diabetes.
We're looking for women.
We're looking for some women. If you are a woman that has gone on a proper human diet and have reversed type 2 diabetes, please reach out to one of us because we need your story. Thank you. Off the soapbox.
Okay. There you go. Here, let's all take a stab at the question. Sugar doesn't replace that feeling of the real stuff. I think sugar makes it a worse problem. If you're pregnant, go to my friend. Kate I think she's having her twins now. She's been doing a very low carb diet, like very whole foods. Kate, carnivore couple. Find her on the carnivore couple because she has explained what she's done during this pregnancy, and she had twins. In her first pregnancy, she was on the crap American diet, and she had preeclampsia, and now she doesn't. Having twins.
That's actually crazy because usually if you have preeclampsia with one, it's going to be preeclampsia with all. Same with gestational diabetes.
Oh, wow.
You're going to, if you have it with one, you're going to have it with all.
So that's totally crazy. I would go find her channel, watch some of her videos. It's a lot about what her husband's done because he's lost like 100 billion pounds. But she did talk about her pregnancy there. I can't answer this because I was a junk food addict in pregnancy number 1, and then I couldn't eat in pregnancy number 2. So I mean,
I'd like to know. I really would like to know what it's like to only carry one.
So I don't know how it is, craving sugar just in pregnancy. I can tell you when you crave, because I would crave sugar like all the time, right? So you eat that sugar, you get that dopamine hit, you feel good, but then your insulin goes up to smash that sugar down, and then your sugar, crashes. So then you're just hungry again, but you're a sugar addict. So and you feel low energy. So you just go back for more sugar. So I know that's like the really short answer for like why we crave, and plus it kind of acts like a drug on our brain,
right?
So we get
It
addicted.
does. It really does, and they literally have the studies looking at the MRIs of the brains and showing how it lights up the same way like cocaine does. It blows my mind.
It's crazy.
Blows it.
I will say
it's not considered a drug because of money.
No. I get that. I get that now. It is a drug. It's terrible. I could quit smoking.
Yep.
I don't like alcohol. Never been a problem. Sugar was very hard to get rid of until I started eating this.
Nicotine was mine. Nicotine was harder for me than sugar.
Oh, I just happened to be pregnant. So, and then that's probably why.
That's fair.
Nicotine was hard until I got pregnant. Choosing to live. I didn't have type 2 diabetes, but fasting insulin was 34 when I started. Proper human diet now 7. Great.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh,
and
I love it.
User says makes sense. Smiley face. Okay, good. All right. Awesome. I did want to show everybody's channels. Oh, do all 32 of you know who we are? Do you want to just go subscribe to everybody's channels, or should I show them?
Subscribe to all of our channels. That would be great.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
And I do have one thing I want to say. So I did a little of a rant video today, and I would love it if you guys would go watch it. It's only a few minutes. Go watch my ranting video. It's not what you think. When you watch it, it'll have a different result at the end, but I would love to know everyone's opinions on that.
Yep.
There you go. That's what I'm going to say. Rebekah, would you like to shout anything out?
Shout anything out? No, just thank you for having me. I love doing lives with you. It's fun.
Oh, thank you.
I could talk for hours. And Christy, it was great meeting you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll have to have you on
team. We'll have to have you on Lioness Lifestyle Live. I don't know if you know about that show, but that's what I would like to shout out. So every single Tuesday, we had Alia on. Yeah. Every single Tuesday, we have an opening this Tuesday if you want to come on, because we did have a cancellation. We'll talk about it backstage. Yeah, we'll talk about it backstage. But every single Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So, alter for
8 o'clock my time.
8 o'clock Eastern. You must be in the Eastern time zone.
Yep.
It's myself, it's Elliot Nourishment Redacted, and it's Adrienne Gledhill, formerly Biggest Loser Carnivore. We are the three hosts, and we bring on a different woman each week, and she kind of tells her health journey and her story, and then we ask a few questions and do a couple other fun things. And that's every single Tuesday. So I'd love it if anyone here tune in Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time to watch us on Lioness Lifestyle.
Nice. Awesome. Yay. And Rebekah, last but not least, would you like to go check out her channel? What would you like to say?
Yeah, go check it. Just there's not many Bavrys out there. So just Rebekah Bavry, you'll find me. I'm out there.
And don't spell Barbie, because that won't find it.
No, you will not find me. It's
Bavry.
Bavry. Bravo, Alpha, Victor, Romeo, Yankee. Literally, we're the only ones in the country. If it's spelled Bevry, that came from the other brother. It's 2 brothers from Norway.
Oh, there you go. Okay. And there we go. Hasta luego, everybody. I did not expect this to go to almost 2 hours. Talk to you later.
Buenas noches.
Bye.